just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City College Football. I'm Joe DeLeone, joined by my former teammate and roommate at the University of Rhode Island, Mr. Sean Anderson. Sean, we were just saying this in the shitty cold open. We need to come up with like a tagline for this. Like the FCS show, like there's no tagline, there's no, it's like, FCS football. Like, but I think that we could, was the one I did a while ago, the two biggest hacks in media. Is that too like aggressive to do it that way? Do you think? Is that
Let
too
me
hack in
think.
itself?
Welcome to the city. I mean, we have to play. Do you want to play off city?
Yeah, welcome.
Somehow.
Welcome to the city. You are our citizens. That sounds really aggressive. That sounds very cult.
Yeah.
Really culty. Really, really culty.
Way culty. I'd love to be a cult, but pretty culty.
I don't think people like, especially from the comments that I've gotten on my videos, I don't think people like us enough, or me especially, to is there like what's the opposite of a cult technically?
What do they have in like the Netherlands? What type of society is that? Like, aren't they like all open, all neutral? Isn't it like non-culty?
Well, but wouldn't the opposite of a cult be an active?
Is that like guerrilla warfare, or is that
just like active hatred towards like leadership of one specific person?
I think we're getting a little too political here.
Okay, we're getting too political. We have no politics in Hack City, which is
not a chance in hell ever. Never that.
Sean, we've got week 9 of college football to talk about this week, and Sean, just to be blunt, I don't think this should shock college football fans if you haven't looked at the lineup. The games this weekend aren't that great. This might be the weakest lineup of games that we have for the rest of the season.
It's a snoozer.
Yeah. But the weird thing, Sean, is it's a lot of games that sound good on paper. Like you've got like a lot of like top 5 teams, top 10 teams playing like a top 20 team. But I think we all know in these games that they're, for the most part, are going to be blowouts.
This weekend is perfect because Call of Duty releases this weekend. Obviously, the campaign has been available for a week. I think I have like 3 more missions left. So I'm trying to make it snappy on this show. But the multiplayer releases tomorrow at midnight. So this weekend, I'm going to be locked in. And then it's kind of a perfect. Activision must have timed it up perfectly. He said, I know Penn State's going to be bad this year. I know that a lot of these other teams aren't going to be good enough to make it interesting. Northwestern's going to be they're going to stink. Iowa's going to stink. All these teams that we build as good matchups for this particular weekend are not going to turn out well. So it's a perfect weekend for me to start grinding, learn the maps, get back in form. I'm excited for this weekend.
For the amount of times that your internet poops out while we're recording, I really strongly hope that your internet just shuts down for most of the weekend. I just want you to know
did my internet go down just now during my speaking?
It did not, but ironically, you just froze right when you jinxed it. But
sure.
I am rooting for your internet to crash in any attempt.
Hey, that's a really mean thing to say, by the way. That's really mean. For no reason.
Like you haven't said anything mean to me before on this show.
I haven't. Yeah, I'm gonna leak that picture.
What, the one that you took?
Get a new sweater. It's not the best.
This is a great sweatshirt.
It's a great sweater. It's a great sweater, not a sweatshirt. It's a great sweater.
Neck.
It's a great sweater. It's not really Joe formed.
You're a bad person.
I'm not hating. Whoa. You're hoping my internet would go out.
Do the read. Bet online, folks.
Go screw. I'm sure I'm a bad person. What matters more, your $15 sweater or my happiness?
15. This was actually $80. It was an $80. It's an Under Armour crew neck. It was $80.
You suck.
And you know where I got the?
Hey,
you know where I got the money to pay for this sweater?
Okay, step on my
Bet online.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're a listener and you have $80 to waste on a bad sweater and you don't want to look like a goofball come holiday time, why don't you head to betonline.ag and play some wagers this weekend? Get some excitement in your life because they're gonna be snoozers, and it'll help it make more. It'll make it more fun when you're sitting there and you say, okay, I got the over in this game, or I have TCU covering. Are they on bye? They might be on bye. I have Texas covering. I don't think they're on bye. They both might be. Regardless, it'll make your game day experience way more
They got West Virginia.
fun. Oh, yeah. It is always the fastest and easiest way to bet all of your favorite sports and events, whether it's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, or even golf. Joe, did you see the lines for the Anderson Silva Jake Paul fight?
I did not. Which way
As
is
of
it
right
leaning?
now, Jake Paul a minus 192 favorite.
That's ridiculous.
It's not. I'm staying away from this. But if you're an Anderson Silva Mark fanboy loser, then you could place your money down on him. I think he's at plus 152 right now, and that's pretty good value. Again, if you're an Anderson Silva Mark fanboy loser, head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus for your first deposit. Make sure to use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts.
There should be a podcast, and maybe you could do it. There's too many betting podcasts out there where they try to give bad picks that never hit, and everyone claims that they've got good picks. What if there was a podcast that was just giving odds for 20 minutes, just reading the lines for 20 minutes?
So you're saying it would be the bottom of the sports channel ticker, except verbally.
Just imagine how much you could sell that. Like, you wouldn't do a video version, but you could sell that to every sports outlet that has like
it would you want to
visual
do it
impairment.
like the traffic channel on radio, where it's constantly updating the freeways and such?
Yeah, it
would
like,
have to be live though. Okay, I think SiriusXM had something like that, but for programming, like this will be on this channel, this will be on that channel. It was their default for if a game went dead, it went to
let's read the odds.
Astros Marlins will take place on channel 306 tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central.
Called in the janitor
West.
and they're like, "Hey, we need you. We need you to just start reading the schedules."
I think that's what they did. I don't know.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's talk about these games.
Sure.
As boring as they are. Ohio State plays Penn State this weekend. And this is, I think, the epitome of what I said earlier, that you've got number 2 playing number 13, a big Big Ten matchup between two programs, one that is ascending towards the national championship trajectory, one that kind of got knocked out of it, but is still trying to remain relevant in the conversation to finish in the top 10. But we both know inherently that this matchup is going to be so goddamn lopsided. Before we talk about that aspect of it, Sean, the one thing that's really complicated with Penn State is they're playing at home. This is a whiteout game at Beaver Stadium. And it's so goddamn hard for me to like say, oh, Ohio State's going to blow them out at Beaver Stadium. And I don't know if I can totally say that because of how hard it is to play at Penn State.
Look. I would say differently if Penn State scored more than 14 points versus Michigan. If they gotten into the 20s versus Michigan, I would agree with you. I don't care about the home field advantage stuff. Obviously, college football does. I'm still learning more about college football. LSU is favored by 2 because they were at home last week versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss was ranked 7. It makes sense to me. I guess the home field advantage stuff is actually
legit.
palpable.
It's way more in the NFL. And I, as you're saying, like being newer to the landscape of college football, it's bizarre how much of an impact it has.
It's so stupid. I mean, I guess we're talking about dudes that were just in high school and still learning how to deal in those environments. I don't know if Penn State's going to get that rowdy. If they don't have a bid, They might have had a bid if they had a very close loss to Michigan and then beat Ohio State, something to cheer for, something to root for. Now, if the athletics department and the team wants to go out there and say, hey, we're going to play spoiler for these jokers from Ohio State, and we're going to beat them down. We need you guys all to show out so we can ruin their time because they've ruined us the last decade under James Franklin. We only have one win against them. Okay, fine, we do that. But I don't know how inspired I can be. I'm a very passionate fan. But when I lose inspiration for the team, I will still watch painfully and cheer when good things happen, but it's not the same type of environment. That's why the playoffs are so different in the NFL, because it's zero. Everyone's record is 0 going into it.
So the last time that like these two teams were relevant, and I'm pulling this up now, they were both like in top 15 contention in that sphere. And this was when Saquon Barkley was there, I believe.
Sure.
Was 2018. And I remember distinctly it was Miles Sanders. I remember distinctly riding on the bus during this game because I was aggressively attacking Matt Sawicki when this game was going on, because Ohio State almost lost. So Ohio State traveled to Beaver Stadium and they barely won 27-26. I think they climbed back into it. This was 3 versus 17. So this is actually kind of eerily reminiscent of that. And while I agree with you that like Penn State's kind of out of it, but I don't think this team's that far off from like the Miles Sanders, Trace McSorley offense that we see now with Sean Clifford and Singleton. Like their redeeming quality is their offensive line right now. And that's it. And like if their offensive line plays well, that's what's going to carry them. They've got a lot of holes on that roster, but like I don't put it. All I'm saying is I'm
a Joey Porter Jr. fan, by the way. I think he's a day one pick.
Ryan hates him, and we're going to talk about him on the draft show.
Why does Ryan hate him? Because he's tall.
He says he's too grabby. That's like the most draft.
Too grabby.
Too grabby. I want to get.
First of all, I like that terminology. Hate that analysis.
To my point, though, I am saying that I would not put it past Penn State just to come riled up, pissed off that they got embarrassed by Michigan, and 100,000 people in the stands wearing all white, just maybe getting to the head of Stroud. Actually, wait, that's the stupid part. It's an early morning kickoff.
Yeah.
They blew it. Never mind. They blew it.
I think Dan and Pat were yelling about how the whiteout games at Penn State should only be night games. They only should. If you're doing some type of out game, Purdue does the blackout. When they started the season doing the blackout, night game looked sick. Different type of energy. It's a different type of energy. So if it's an afternoon game, whiteout, who cares? It's a beautiful autumn day. Who's getting riled up for that? There's no dude. It's so hard to be aggressive, to be aggro when it's gorgeous out and you see the leaves and everyone's smiling and then you're like, oh, there's a nice family. Instead, you want to what do they call it now? Borg. I feel old, but the gallons blackout rage juice, basically, I think is what college students are doing. Yes. That is what you need a night game for. The Borgs aren't coming out on beautiful fall autumn days. They're not.
I think but you know who gets juiced up for autumn days? Sorority girls, blonde sorority girls, and there is a surplus of them at Penn State. So I don't know, man. I
thought they disbanded their Greek life.
Oh, I don't know.
I understand your point. They did. I understand your point.
So, okay, here's where I sit. This is an early game. It's a whiteout. And as much as I don't want to, I'm always unwilling to just like hang my hat on the way that they played a few weeks ago in an important game. Like, I know that really means a lot. Here's what I will say. Ohio State wins, but I think Penn State covers. This is a typical, almost a trap game, not in the inherent typical sense, but it's a trap game in the sense where we're expecting Ohio State to blow them out. And I don't think that necessarily is going to happen. Give me Penn State to cover. I think it's more than possible. I don't know what the line is. I'm going to look it up in a second on BetOnline, but I think it's a possibility. I don't think we can necessarily rule this out. I think that's possible. Like, I think that they could lose by 10 points. I think that's very likely to happen.
I see them. They could also lose by like 16. They could also lose 40-24.
I say,
I hate that line. 10 points. I hate that I just told myself a score that I know will happen.
So what do you think? I think that they lose. I think that this is a close game, but Ohio State still wins.
Here's the thing: if Singleton for Penn State can really get going, this could be. Penn State running backs have a weird trait where in big games they decide, especially when they're like freshmen or sophomores, they decide to go nuclear. They decide this is the time where I put everybody on notice who I am, and I'm going to go in the first round or the second round at the very least. So this could be the game where we're looking at Singleton going, okay, starting off a little slow, 80-yarder. Start the second half. Oh, Penn State's still hanging around after that 80-yarder. Another 80-yarder. And then it's a big day. It could be a big day for him personally. I can't foresee it being a huge day for Penn State as a whole, though.
All right, so we agree to disagree because we agree that Ohio State wins, but you feel that
line. I hate that.
That is a horrible line. That is a horrible line.
Tease it to 17 if you're really going to be.
I think that line is the way it is because a lot of people are taking Ohio State.
Give me 17 and a hook. Actually, give me 17 and a hook.
Sean, the other
Eh.
goofy, I hate using the word goofy in sports media. I don't know why I do that. The other game that fits the description of what we're talking about is Kansas State playing Oklahoma State. Now, I don't think Kansas State should be ranked as high as they are right now. They're currently 9th. This is a 9-on-22 matchup. I believe it is at Kansas State off the top of my head. This is another snoozer game for me. I still keep saying that Oklahoma State is overrated. I think that their halftime adjustments won them the game against Texas, and it was kind of purely circumstantial. I don't have a lot of faith in Spencer Sanders still, and I know that I am inherently probably the biggest Oklahoma State hater out there I could possibly be, but I lean them in this matchup. I am very, very disappointed in the way that Kansas State finished their game against TCU, blowing a lead in the fashion that they did. It's hard for me to buy in and not lean Oklahoma State, who has at least finished games that they need to finish.
Okay, so you're upset with Oklahoma State's ranking at 9 or Kansas State's ranking at 22?
Oklahoma State's ranking at 9.
Okay.
I think Kansas State's properly rated, but I'm saying that Oklahoma State is likely the victor.
Well, last week you were taking a big old dump on Kansas State for whatever reason.
They're overrated.
They can't both be overrated.
Yes, they can.
They must both be appropriately rated because Kansas State's favored by 1.5.
That's ridiculous. They shouldn't be. Look,
this is what I'm seeing.
I freaking said this, and this is my problem with Kansas State. I love Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn's really talented. Kansas State also is a really nice pass rush that has been getting after guys this year, and they're statistically one of the best defensive lines in the country in terms of team sacks and teams tackles for loss. However, they're not an explosive team, and to me, they don't really scare me. Oh, sorry, that was Oklahoma State staff. It's 24th in team sacks, 24th in team tackles for loss. They don't produce a lot of explosive plays through the air, and Adrian Martinez sucks. He's so overrated, and he showed that to me against TCU. I don't have any redeeming qualities for Adrian Martinez, and I don't. He's not the guy that's going to get you back into a football game, and he showed that against TCU.
Colin, could you clip Joe saying he doesn't have any redeeming qualities?
Why?
Because you don't. It's a funny drop.
You're saying I
You
don't
said
have any
I don't have any redeeming qualities. ... For.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be Adrian Martinez doesn't have any redeeming qualities. That's how it would have been.
Okay, thanks, Colin. What your thoughts on this game?
What I mean, rankings. Just from that perspective, Kansas State feels like they could play spoiler. It doesn't feel like a trap. They could just be straight up spoiler, just because they're kind of a magical team. And they're going to go to the playoff like Cincinnati did last year, but because they just have a well-coached team that moves the ball and plays very hard. And at this point in the season, when so many teams are tapped out and punched out, if you have a team that can play hard and run around and be physical like Kansas State can, then you could trap or spoil Oklahoma State's season. Oklahoma State also, they lost me some money last week. I'm not going to lie to you.
They did?
Well, they lost me a pick because I was 0 for 6 in my picks.
Did you took them to cover?
I had Texas covering.
Oh.
And Oklahoma State decided, nope, not going to happen, fat boy. I said, all right, thanks.
Oh, God.
Awesome. Look, Oklahoma State's cool. Kansas State's cool. I don't have much investment in this game. Obviously, you have you hold resentment towards both of these teams. I don't know why. You have some type of Big 12 bias that is odd to me.
I'm all TCU, man. I actually was looking at purchasing some TCU merch because I want the Hypnotoad shirt. I want one of those. Those are great. What? You're a hack.
It's great, but you're just a hack.
Okay.
I'm just calling you a hack.
Okay. Is that so? Which way do you lean in this game?
Oklahoma State.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas State played Magic Man, I'm just going to ride the fence. That's what I do best.
So I agree again. I think we're on the same page on this pick. I think there's a possibility. I don't like the odds of the chances that it's like minuscule chances that Kansas State plays, as you said, Magic Man. But if you look at Oklahoma State,
how are you going to say it's minuscule?
I don't think it's very high because
go screw.
I look at last week as really good evidence. Really good evidence. Oklahoma State
Martinez went down last game. He didn't play the whole game.
Let me
They're
finish.
Magic Man versus Oklahoma. They're Magic Man versus Texas Tech.
Okay.
Stop it.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
I look at last week against TCU as a really good example. There are some similarities between Oklahoma State and TCU in the fact that they statistically are some of the most explosive passing offenses in the country. Oklahoma State is ranked 37th in yards per completion with 13 yards per completion, which is a pretty big number. So what helped TCU get back into that game, separate from the injury that you just mentioned, was the fact that they've got Quentin Johnston. They've got athletes all over that offense that they could pick up quick scores, which we talked about in the preview. We perfectly hit on that. If TCU goes down, they could get back into the game quickly. And this is the same trap that they're going to fall into. If Kansas State goes up, I don't have faith that they're going to maintain that lead because Oklahoma State is capable of getting quick scores and getting back into the game if they need to. Not as much as TCU, but they're capable of doing it.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm messing around. I'm messing around.
I'm trying to cut back on coffee this week, and my brain's been lagging.
How are you? How come? You a little high strung?
No, I'm just drinking too much coffee. Like 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day is not healthy. So I'm doing 2 this week. And I'm also not.
Day?
Yeah, 2 a day.
Interesting.
I'm also not drinking it right when I wake up. So we're doing better this week.
Okay.
No remaining thoughts on the game?
I just know that when you stop drinking coffee and then it ramps up to another cup and then it becomes 5 cups a day.
Well,
why don't you sit at an easy 3?
Because I was slowly waning my way down to 3 last week, and now I'm waning my way down to 2 this week. I don't think I'll ever get down to the 1, but I've been successful so far. I actually haven't been high strung at all this week. I've just been tired.
I don't know how you drink that stuff. It's gross.
Coffee is fantastic. You're just a bitch.
Disgusting. It's a disgusting drink. It's gross. It's bitter. You need a whole bunch of sugar and cream. If you like the taste of regular black coffee, you're an alien.
That's what I drink. Is black coffee. But you can't talk gross when you're wearing a Nationals hat right now. I don't want to hear it. Sean,
I hope the Stros sweep you.
No comment. Sean, let's get to this last game. This is a football.
You are not in the bantering mood right now. I know why.
I'm being rushed.
I know you are. I know.
Yeah.
It's not like you have it's not like you have shows to do also, by the way.
Yeah, the bias here is relevant.
Alex had the worst tweet I've ever seen in my life yesterday.
What was it?
Let me find it. It was I'm like, Alex, are you kidding me? I think you're better than this. You always send me an email on time, but it was here we go. Let me just pull this up. Oh, so stupid. I've recently found that when I prepay for gas and the price has reached a little bit of gasoline, when the price is reached, a little bit of gasoline still comes out of the nozzle, more than you would swipe at the pump. Has anyone else noticed this who prepays, or am I just pollo loco?
What? Who gives a shit? Hey man, the Twitter
that's who you're getting rushed by.
No, not him, but his co-hosts. They have to tape their show that airs on Stadium. So I'm sure
that's topic 1A of their show.
We also got yelled at last week by the head honcho, the big dog Eric Weinberger. Because, So I got bumped and pushed in Alex's office to tape last week, and Eric's office is right next to his, and the walls over there are really thin.
Sure.
And I scream when I tape. Like it's just I have to talk loudly. This room has soundproofing and it's improved the amount that seeps out, but the glass can only hold so much. But my point is that like if I don't project, I don't sound very good and I sound squeaky. So I have to project when I talk. And as soon as I finish, Eric comes out. He's like, "You're never again. You're not taping in there again. You're never taping in there again. You're taping in the studios." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry." Which is understandable. All right, Sean, I want to talk about this last game here. Tennessee versus Kentucky. don't talk about this game? Should we
I
just
said I
close
don't.
it?
It's just go ahead. I know you did a lot of work, so you could talk about it. But holy hell, what are we doing here? This weekend stinks.
This game sucks. This game sucks. This game sucks.
Who
Tennessee
cares
versus Kentucky.
about stupid ass Kentucky losing to Tennessee? And I gotta say, I don't like their black uniforms. I don't like Tennessee's
black and
uniform.
orange doesn't. It looks too Halloween-y.
I like it on Oklahoma State when they do it. I like that. I don't like Tennessee. I know it's Halloween because it's Halloween weekend. I know why they're doing it, and they look sweet. But look, that's not Tennessee. We're the orange. We're the gray. We're the white.
Now, I agree. I think it's like trying to play
being too traditionalist.
No, and it's just they're playing too hard. I think unintentionally into the Halloween timing, and I do think it looks stupid. I do agree that it looks stupid. However, though, Sean, this game, there's not even really anything to talk about. But like when I did the notes for this, there were just a couple interesting things that I noticed.
Yeah.
What was that?
You just. There's really nothing to talk about, but we're going to get to it anyways. This is the most honest show you'll ever see. We're not going to sell you. We're not snake oil salesmen. If we have a topic that stinks, we're going to let you know about it.
Yeah. I tell everyone everything stinks. It's what got me yelled at on Twitter by every Texas fan imaginable about my Sam Ehlinger take. Did you see that?
Yeah. How does Matt Ryan lead a game-winning drive last week and then gets benched? And I don't even care about Matt Ryan anymore. That ship has sailed. But it's silly. They're being silly in Indianapolis, and there's a weird power dynamic going on with Frank Reich and the Jim Irsay and everybody else over there. There's a weird. It's a little fishy. It's a little bit fishy.
I don't disagree, and I'm disturbed by the amount of Texas throaters that are saying that Sam Ehlinger is going to lead them into a Super Bowl and think that he's like some great starter.
That's an absurd take.
What I said?
No, what they're saying.
Yeah, but nonetheless, even though I've always been a Texas
supporter, Taylor Heineke can do it. Okay,
Sam Ehlinger's not Taylor Heineke.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Tennessee versus Kentucky, Sean. The interesting things that I noticed about this, the Kentucky's offensive line we know sucks. It's abysmal. It's 125th in sacks allowed. It's also 102nd in tackles for losses allowed. And then on top of that, they're 109th in rush offense, which is crazy to think when you have Will Levis and Chris Rodriguez. Like you think that you'd be able to put something together, but they stink. They're absolute garbage. No matter what they try to do in this game, they're donezo. They can't do shit. The only thing that I took away from this, the only prayer that they have in this game is the fact that, and I didn't know this, and this is how Tennessee currently sits after playing UT Martin. There was no movement on their rankings in this stat category. Sean, did you know Tennessee is 130th in pass defense? And the only team that they're behind is Ohio. And Ohio gave up a crap ton of yards to Tim Damarat of Fordham.
Well, he's the dude.
You shouldn't be, but my point is that's to a Patriot League team. Yeah. You can't be in the same conversation and statement as Ohio's secondary, which is horrible. Absolutely, it takes horrible to another level how bad it is. So the only redeeming quality that we have here, the only prayer that Kentucky has, is that if they have some crazy game where they have all these big completions, these big chunk passing plays, and they kind of keep it close towards the end. That's the only way that I see this being a possibility for Kentucky, because they have no matchup capability anywhere else on this roster.
They must have hidden that pass defense away in the coffers, because I have not heard that once. And I appreciate you bringing that point to light, especially with somebody that is, probably going to be the first quarterback off the board in Will Levis. And then
bad take.
I'm messing with you. I just needed to see your reaction to that. Whatever.
It's not an Will Levis is one though, but continue.
Who else is using that?
A lot of people. Todd McShay was saying he might be and Kuiper are saying that he might be the first guy. So that's just talk about hack. Go ahead. I cut you off.
Well, welcome to the city. We'll get you an apartment, McShay.
The cellar.
Yeah. You want no window room. That's where you and Kuiper could stay and seethe. What? Now, if that's the case, Tennessee better try to fix that up before Georgia, because that game is coming right around the bend. And who's Georgia's tight end that Ryan's
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. Yeah, Ryan's the generational tight end. You don't get this out of a 19-year-old. Okay, I gotcha. But he could be what?
No, it's just your description of him.
That's Ryan's description of him. That Tennessee defense is going to be in for a rude awakening when I'd say top 5 Heisman candidate, Stetson Bennett, rolls up in there and is going to start shredding them up. So we're looking at a team. God damn, they're 130.
Yeah,
that's really not good.
It's at Neyland also. So like, I don't, there's a lot going against Kentucky. I just think like maybe Hendon Hooker throws a pick and you score on every single drive. That's what this is going to take for Kentucky to win. Other than that, it's going to be a bloodbath.
God. Yeah, that is, I mean, who did Kentucky beat? Mississippi State?
That's like their one redeeming win, and then they also lost to, and they beat Florida when Florida was.
But neither of those teams are Tennessee.
A national championship contender at one point.
I'm not worried one bit.
Yeah. All right, so that's how we sit on that game. Tennessee's going to kick the shit out of them. Enough said.
Oh yeah,
Sean, that's going to wrap us up on. Any final thoughts? What are you going as for Halloween?
Mechanic.
Are you serious?
I bought a Dickies jumpsuit last year to be Michael Myers. I'm wearing that Dickies jumpsuit until it falls apart. The jumpsuit was like $150. If you're seeing me at Halloween and you saw me last year, you're seeing the same jumpsuit, the same boots, all of it. I'm going to wear a Dirty Nats hat, and then that's what it's going to be.
That's so goddamn funny that you're going as a mechanic, because like, if we're being honest here, and this isn't a knock at you, but like, if you didn't go to college, what would you be doing right now? You'd be like a landscaper or a mechanic.
Yeah, bouncer.
Or a bouncer.
Yeah.
Maybe a mechanic who bounces.
Yeah. A little side action on the weekends, sure.
Maybe you should go as a bouncer and then just try to confuse all of the bouncers.
House party. I'm not going to DC.
Oh, you're going to house party?
You're not catching me in DC this weekend. I'm not
really
dealing with the bar crawls. I'm not dealing with the drunk 19-year-olds that it's my first taste of DC. I go to American. Okay, let's get after it. Get away from me. You're breathing all up on me. You stink like hell.
I was really upset because there was some proper planning done by Joe and I for our costume, and we found out we can't wear it basically. So the idea was, and you can't tell me this isn't a good idea, because the body typing is perfect. I was going to go as Mario and he was going to go as the Luigi, because, the two Italians, one's short and fat, one's portly and one's tall. That would have been a pretty good costume. But the problem is that we can't do it because the thing that we're supposed to be going to is pirate themed. And we're finding that out now. So what the hell I have to
the
very
only reason
quickly
I would support that costume is that if you and Joe went as Mario and Luigi to the pirate themed party, that costume is so hack. But if you wear it to a pirate party, I'm all in. Joe, I'm all for it.
I already canceled the order on the
dude.
On Amazon.
Go get a red vest, get some jean shorts, flip flops, and a straw hat. You'll be the only anime pirate, but a pirate. So that'll get a pop if you're at a pirate party. I'm telling you, you go as Luffy.
Yeah, but I don't know anime. Like, I'm not gonna.
Doesn't matter. If you go to a pirate party and you're wearing that,
it's not a party too. It's like it's kind of like a club thing. I don't know what the vibe is. It's at a hotel.
Hold on.
I know exactly who you're referencing. I know exactly who it is. But like, I just don't want every fat sweaty guy coming up to me like, oh, that's a really great costume you have. The other idea that we had was going and just wearing like ECU football jerseys, but we can't get them in time. And then the third, the one that I thought was funny is if he went as well. No, I was going to say the other idea we had is he was going to go as Johnny Depp, and then I was going to go as Amber Heard, which might have been a good bit, but because somebody was going to offer me a wig, but I don't think I can get a suit in time to look like I'm supposed to. What is that? By the way, there's like something on your ceiling that just looks very ominous that's sitting behind you. I just have to point that out.
What?
There's something like on your ceiling that I keep thinking is a head. It's like there's like a lamp or something like that up there.
Oh my! I have That?
Yeah, it's a light, right?
Yeah, it's a light.
I keep thinking that like there's like someone behind you that's just watching.
Look at what I just sent in the private chat. That's my response to your Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing.
In the
If you want to go as a pirate, don't say it.
Wait, I didn't get there's only one message in there. I see what you said. Okay. All right, that's gonna wrap us up on at Joe DeLeone. At Sanderson Radio. Thanks for tuning in. We're terrible people. Drive safe.